This week, a guest co-host and I will be talking to Olivia Meek. She graduated from Georgia Tech with a Bachelors Degree in Mechanical Engineering. While at Georgia Tech, she participated in renewable energy research. She has worked for Schneider Electric, focusing on energy efficiency, and later went on to work for Florida Power and Light, doing distribution engineering. She currently works at Landis Gyr, concentrating on smart grid technology and IoT devices. Our guest co-host this week is Jimmy Tang. Jimmy Tang is a first-year graduate student pursuing a doctorate in aerospace engineering. He works in research in the field of structural analysis, specifically using finite element modeling to analyze different aspects of aircraft, as well as modeling the behaviors of composite material. So let's call her up! Thank you so much, you guys, for being here today. I'm very excited about this episode. So Olivia, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background and where you are now?
Okay, great. So, growing up, I was the kid who always knew exactly what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to be a veterinarian. I knew the schools I was going to go to. I had it all worked out until I was about 17 years old. I took an engineering class at my high school, and my teacher started pushing me, hey, you should be an engineer. You'd be really good at being an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, I hate engineering. He kept asking me, do you even know what engineering is? And I was like, yeah, but it's not for me.
Did you know what it was?
I don't think I truly did know what it was. I think I thought of it as tinkering with things and working on motors and those sorts of things, and I just thought, that's not for me. And then fast forward to 2 years after that, or a year after that, I'm at Georgia Tech studying engineering, so it clearly had some impact on me.
Yeah.
But even that was kind of jumbled from where I am now. So to give you some perspective, I ended up graduating with a degree in mechanical engineering, and I work in the energy industry now. When I started at Georgia Tech, I was biomedical engineering pre-med, so I was very convinced I was going to be a doctor. So it's just crazy how things change. So I kind of always knew I was going to be in STEM. I just didn't know which part of it I was going to end up in.
So what made you switch majors?
So it was kind of a strange incident. So my friend from a different school, he was pulling a bunch of all-nighters and just using energy drinks to stay awake. And what happened was it caused him to have a small heart attack.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's totally fine now.
Okay, good.
But when I went to see him, I had to go to the hospital to see him, and it was on my way out. I just had this epiphany, this is not what I want to do with my life. I can't do this for the rest of my life. So next day I dropped pre-med and started the search for the right major, and kind of went from there to chemical engineering, which was I'm still going to go to med school denial phase, I think, and then started thinking this isn't for me, and ended up in mechanical engineering because I've kind of always liked design and I wanted to do 3D modeling, and just took it from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Winding road.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least you found your path, and it's interesting that, you had the epiphany and just decided that, hey, this is it, I'm
right.
Yeah.
Just instantly dropped off.
Yeah.
Drop pre-med. That's cool. So do you do 3D modeling now?
I don't, so it kept going from there. Yeah, I switched into ME, but I had to take this kind of gap semester where I didn't have a major, and that was kind of my soul-searching semester. Okay, I thought for my whole life I was going to be a vet, and then I thought I was going to be a doctor, and now I just have no idea. I have zero clue what I'm going to do. And so I started trying to figure it out. I went to a career counselor, which was unfortunately no help. But then I was like, okay, I'm lost. I'm just going to try things. So I ended up joining Energy Club. I was like, oh, I always loved animals. I like saving the planet, renewable energy. That's kind of along those lines. So I joined Energy Club, and that is kind of what opened my whole world to this energy industry, which is where I've been now for the past 3 years, maybe 4 years.
Wow, yeah.
Since that happened, yeah. So it's crazy. You never know where your path is gonna go.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So now Energy Club kind of started it all. My first semester in Energy Club, there were maybe 8 people. They were kind of like resurrecting it from the dead and trying to build it into something great.
Yeah.
And so everybody was kind of taking tasks for what they thought would build this club into an empire, like the ones at MIT or Berkeley. And so my role, I thought, maybe if we do some competitions and get our name out there, then that will help grow the club. So I went and found a competition at the Department of Energy, built a team. We were solving a sustainability challenge for the Department of Energy, and ended up going and presenting
so cool.
to executives there. Yeah, so that was not anything I ever expected I would do. But yeah, that ended up leading into an internship in energy efficiency, which led to an internship with a power company, which led me to now be doing full-time work in the smart grid industry. So it just opened all kinds of doors.
That is awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is quite a journey. Like, what would be something that you would tell people if, I'm sure there are a lot of students who are, maybe undecided and have no idea what they're doing. So, like, what is something that you would advise them to do in that situation?
Right. So for me, I have this problem of kind of indecision paralysis. I really like to get things right the first time, and this was an area or a time in my life where I was completely lost, no direction. And I didn't know what to do next, and I really just wanted the next thing to be the right thing and give me an idea, okay, this is what I want to do. Because, like I said, my whole life, this is what I want to do. This is exactly what I want to do. And I'm not confused at all. And so I got to the point where I was just like, I just need to try something, anything. And that led to me joining Energy Club. And I will say, so Energy Club, I said, led to some internships. My junior year, I was not successful in getting an internship, and that kind of led me to another point of being lost. I think this kind of happens every once in a while. You have some momentum, and then you hit kind of a checkpoint, and you're like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And again, I was just thinking, I don't have any other options. I just need to try something. And I had never thought that I would be interested in research. I always thought I would hate it. I don't want to be trapped in a lab by myself. I'm very much a people person. But one of my professors, who I actually met through Energy Club, he was the advisor for Energy Club, he said, hey, you don't have anything to do this summer. You should come by and check out my lab. And I was like, okay, I'll go take a tour. And that turned into, do you want to do research this summer? And I said, sure, why not? I don't have anything else. And I ended up loving it, absolutely loving it, finding out that that's probably the work that I've enjoyed most that I've ever done. So if you're lost, if you don't know where to go next, if you don't know what major is right for you, I just encourage you to try something, try a club, try research, try taking a new class, and that will open your eyes to some of the opportunities that you might actually really enjoy.
Awesome. So
go ahead.
I was going to say, so now that you've had a taste of research, do you want to, go to grad school, maybe do some more research, or
I think
corporate research industry?
Yeah, so I think it's two very different things. So I really enjoyed research, but I wasn't ready for grad school right after graduation. It was another point of, okay, what do I do next? And a job kind of fell into my lap. So it was in the energy industry, and I figured, okay, why not try this? That's kind of been my method up until this point. And this job is actually not on the engineering side. It's on the sales side of things. So I've been learning a lot more about the business side of the industry, and doing that has made me miss the research and miss the technical work. So now I feel like I'm more in a place where I could say, okay, I know more of what I want, so I can be more successful in applying to a grad school than before when I was graduating, and I would just do it because I didn't know what to do next.
Were there any things that you tried that you didn't like maybe it didn't really work out? Because it seemed like a lot of things that you did go ahead and try, it was just this ended up working out really well. Do you think that were there any things that you tried that you were like, maybe not?
Yeah, actually there were. So One of the things that I thought I might be interested in as I was going to graduate was industrial design, because I'd liked the 3D modeling stuff. So I thought, I never did this because the studio hours were so long and I couldn't afford to take it as a minor or take it that far. So I did my senior design in a combined class, ID and ME, which I thought would be a really cool opportunity. I'd get to learn about ID, but I wouldn't have to do this big commitment to it. That actually ended up being kind of a flop. I think for senior design, what I was looking for was a really interesting project where I could put a lot of effort into it and come out with this like beautiful thing I could put in a portfolio later on. With ID, I think there was just a lack of engineering there, which was good for me to find out. Like, I do enjoy the engineering side. It's not just the design side. So, I mean, even though I didn't get the experience I thought I would get, or, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, I did learn something about myself and about what I want in my career moving forward. So, even though I didn't like it, it wasn't a total failure.
That's awesome. Okay. So I guess coming back a little bit to your work now, did your engineering degree help you for this position, even if it's like a non-engineering position?
Right. So I think one of the most important things about an engineering degree is the problem-solving skills that you develop. It's really important to learn in any major or any kind of section of engineering. You get specific skills. So for ME, you get your thermodynamics and your heat transfer, your fluid dynamics, things like that. But I think the bigger takeaway is the problem-solving skills. This is a problem you've never seen before. It's really hard. It's going to take time, and you really need to do a lot of critical thinking and figure out how to get through it. And I think that skill alone has prepared me for any job that I take on. In terms of this job in particular, there's a lot of it's not a job where they tell you exactly what to do. I don't go in knowing the task that I need to do that day. It's I have a job which is go sell our product. But when I'm not selling the product, it's how do I sell better? Or how do I make our product look better? And that takes some of the problem solving and entrepreneurial skills that you learn in engineering school. So even though I'm not using my degree directly, the fact that I went out and got this degree was still really helpful to this career.
That's cool. Okay.
So, like, for what you do, like, would you say, like, communication is super important? Like, do you guys work as a part of a team or something of that nature?
Yeah, so communication is extremely important because you're doing a lot of work in front of customers, and everything you say is going to be how they interpret your product. So if you're not good at communicating, you're not going to get through to them how your product is going to make their life easier. I mean, you can just blurt out technical specs all day, but unless you're talking to an engineer, that's not going to get through to them. It's about understanding who you're talking to and how to make them understand what you're trying to give them that's going to make their lives easier.
Yeah, so in that vein, like, would you say any of the experiences that you had in your undergrad really helped you build those skills?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there were presentations here and there. I think through research, I had to present my findings, and that's a lot of pressure. You really need to be good at presenting, again, to get your idea across so that people understand why it's important that you do this. Kind of indirectly, through one of my internships, they gave us this kind of presentation skills boot camp, where you basically had to come up with a presentation in 2 hours and then present it to their head marketing people.
Okay.
And they basically just ripped you to shreds.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Wow.
Trial by fire is a good way to learn, though.
Yeah. It is, but they were prepping you because at the end of the internship, you were going to give a presentation to all the vice presidents of the power company.
Okay.
So they didn't want you to look stupid.
Yeah.
So that was a big place where I learned how to present. And now my job is to present, so that helped a lot. And then going back to my BME days, we actually had to do an intro class. But basically, you had to take a problem. It was all problem-solving skills. You had to take a problem. So our very first one was come up with a better way to screen for lung cancer. You had 3 weeks to come up with a solution, and then you presented it to experts.
Wow.
who basically were there to rip you to shreds. So you had to really have a well-practiced presentation. You had to be thorough in your data. And I think one of the really helpful things that was group-based. Mm-hmm. One of the really helpful things that my group would do is we would think of every hard question that we could possibly think of and throw it at our presenters and train them not only how to present but how to answer questions, and that's definitely carried over into my work now as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. So we're going to take a break now. I hope you've been enjoying the episode so far. So we're going to use this interlude to take some time to pay an homage to the woman who paved the way for us to be here today. So welcome to our Steministas in History segment. Today we're going to be talking about Grace Hopper. Grace Hopper is so cool. Well, all the women we talk about are super cool. So she was born Grace Brewster Murray in New York City on December 9, 1906. She studied math and physics at Vassar College. After graduating in 1928, she proceeded to Yale University, where in 1930 she received a master's degree in mathematics. That same year, she married Vincent Foster Hopper, becoming Grace Hopper, a name that she kept even after the couple's 1945 divorce. And starting in 1931, she began teaching at Vassar while also continuing to study at Yale, where she earned a PhD in mathematics in 1934, becoming one of the first women to earn such a degree. Hopper, who became an associate professor at Vassar, continued to teach until World War II compelled her to join the U.S. Naval Reserve in 1943. She was commissioned as a lieutenant in June 1944. Giving her mathematical background, Hopper was assigned to the Bureau of Ordnance Computation Project at Harvard University, where she learned to program a Mark I computer. After the war, Hopper remained with the Navy as a reserve officer. She was at Harvard when a moth was found to have shorted out the Mark II, and is sometimes given credit for the invention of the term computer bug. Although she didn't actually author the term, she did help popularize it. That's actually really funny that the computer bug was literally a moth shorting out a computer. Wanted to continue to work with computers, Hopper moved into private industry in 1949. In 1952, her team created the first compiler for computer languages. A compiler renders worded instructions into code that can be read by computers. This compiler was a precursor for the Common Business-Oriented Language, or COBOL, a widely adapted language that would be used around the world. Though she did not invent COBOL, she encouraged its adaptation. She retired from the Naval Reserve in 1966, but her pioneering computer work meant that she was recalled to active duty at the age of 60 to tackle standardizing communication between different computer languages. She remained at the Navy for 19 years. When she retired in 1986, at age 79, she was a Rear Admiral as well as the oldest serving officer in the service. Yes. Saying that she would be bored stiff if she stopped working entirely, Hopper took another job post-retirement and stayed in the computer industry for several more years. She was awarded the National Medal of Technology in 1991, becoming the first female individual recipient of the honor. At the age of 85, she died in Arlington, Virginia on January 1, 1992. She was laid to rest in the Arlington National Cemetery. In addition to her programming accomplishments, Hopper's legacy includes encouraging young women to learn how to program. The Grace Hopper Celebration of Women in Computing Conference is a technical conference that encourages women to become part of the world of computing, while the Association of Computing Machinery offers a Grace Murray Hopper Award. Additionally, on her birthday in 2013, Hopper was remembered with a Google Doodle. In 2016, Hopper was posthumously honored with the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama. So, obviously Grace Hopper was a boss. She definitely accomplished amazing things. Thank you for listening. Well, welcome back. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about the challenges that you faced along the way. So, going through tech, and we've talked a little bit about it, about having those moments where you didn't really know what was going to happen next. But, what were some things that you think that, people might be able to relate to that were maybe specific challenges that you experienced and, maybe mental in terms of your identity, in terms of, how it was just going through tech, or also like practical challenges in terms of like finding internships and finding research and stuff like that. So
right. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely speak to those. Tech was not a smooth ride by any means. I mean, I love tech. I loved going through all this, but looking back, there were definitely low moments that I had to get through. I guess just to start, I mean, we talked about not knowing what major to do, and I think a lot of people really struggle with that. I still kind of interact with freshmen here because I coach the girls' soccer team.
That's
so shout
awesome.
out to GT Women's Club Soccer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people, myself included, I thought by the end of high school I'd know exactly what I wanted to do and what I wanted to study. And when I got there and I didn't know, I told myself, okay, that's fine. By the end of college, I'll know exactly what I want to do and the direction I want to go and the job I want to have. And I got to the end of the college and I still had no idea. And kind of what I've been finding out along the way is the journey to finding out who you are and what you're good at and what you love is much longer than what I thought. And a journey is exactly what it is. And part of enjoying life is enjoying that journey and kind of appreciating the lost moments. I mean, someone told me once, your career is 40 years long. And so if you peak at 21, what are you going to do for the rest of your career? You know, so I think patience is really key with this stuff, and knowing that other people are just as lost as you are. There's very few people who have it all together and know exactly what they want. And even if they do, they can change their mind. It's always okay to change your mind.
So important.
Yeah. Yes. So just knowing that you're not alone and that you need to just be patient and try things. I think those are the most important takeaways for that challenge. In terms of mental health, I think what's hard here is because classes are so hard, and tech kind of has this structure of we're going to fail you and fail you and fail you and make you get back up. Yeah. Which is so important after you've graduated because you're not going to get it right. I mean, coming from a fairly easy high school, I always got it right. And I think a lot of people come in, they've had really high GPAs, they did awesome on the SAT, they did awesome on the ACT, and now they come into tech and they're like, I'm going to do awesome. And it's really important to say, no, you're not, because life's not easy and you're going to have to pick yourself up a lot. Yeah. So I think the fact that tech fails you is a good thing, but you don't know that while you're going through school. So it starts to weigh on you because you start comparing yourself to other people and it looks like they're doing great. Like there's always that one person who gets 100 on the test that everybody failed. Always. But you can't compare yourself to that person. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you control how much you put into it. And if you're not doing well, I mean, the goal is for you to figure out a way for yourself to do well. And that's probably not the same as everybody else. Like, that person who doesn't have to study, good for them. Like, that's their thing. They're really good at school. They're genius. They're going to change the world. It's great. But so are you. You're just going to take a different kind of work. But when you get stuck comparing yourself to other people and you're failing, it's easy to fall into kind of a depressive state. And I will say a lot of people I know developed some form of depression, and myself included. I went through some really low points where I felt like, gosh, I'm just doing so terrible. Like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't even know what I'm doing. You know, those lost points where you're failing and you don't know what you're going to do with yourself, like that really drives you to a low point. But I think an important thing to do is talk to people about it. I think it's important for people to know that you're not alone in that feeling and you have a support group, and tech has resources, and it's going to be okay. Because it's so sad to see people go through it and think that they're alone, and they get to a place where they really, really need help to come back. So yeah, for mental health stuff, you're not alone. You're never, ever alone. There's always help. And just discuss with counselors, if you need to go get therapy, if you need to discuss with friends, discuss with family, like, just talk about it. That's my advice for that.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point there. It's like, you don't want to, when you compare yourself to like the best and people being the best, it's like you miss out on everyone else's weaknesses too. It's like if you compare yourself to everyone else's highlight reel, you will always feel like you're worse. Like everyone has their strengths and weaknesses.
Like if I hadn't gone into industry now, I would have never seen the business side, so how to sell a product.
Yeah.
So I mean, the dream for me, of course, is something like, oh, I'm working at this super successful startup with all these young, awesome people, like in my jeans and high tops and my snapback, just like killing it in life, changing the world. I mean, something like that would be awesome. So going to a corporate 9-to-5 job where I have to commute an hour each way every day is not that dream. But if I didn't do this, I wouldn't know how to sell, which is a crucial skill. Yeah. And it's given me a lot of visibility with executives because sales is one of the most important sections of a company, which I wouldn't have had otherwise. So now if I go to this like dream awesome startup and they're like, oh, we created this awesome product, but we don't know how to sell it, I'll be like, no, hold on, I do know how to sell it, we're gonna be fine. So even if an experience isn't what you thought it would be at the beginning, just know that there are takeaways.
I find that's definitely something very important. I feel like I've learned through tech as well, like learning to learn from everything. It's like my lifeline. It's the only way I can like really get over like failing a test. I'm like, you know what, at least I learned.
Exactly.
But okay, so what advice would you give to young women like you who are thinking about going into engineering, maybe not, or going to industry, looking to just figure out life?
Right. So I guess for girls at the high school level trying to decide, do it. Go into science and math. I think there's just sometimes girls don't feel like they're as good at math as boys are. But I think there's just less girls doing it than guys, so that's where that stigma kind of comes from. So just do it. It makes you a total badass, competing with all these guys. And it opens your world to doing a lot more interesting things. I mean, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, I think that's awesome too. I think whatever makes people happy, that they should go do that. But if you're looking to do something innovative and be kind of on the cutting edge of stuff and be competing and making things that change people's lives, like go into STEM. Don't hesitate, don't be scared. Because once you get through once you get through school, I mean, it's a lot of math and people freak out, but once you get through school, it's just an awesome world of opportunities after that. For girls going into industry, I think the advice I would give is it is going to be a bit more difficult for you because there are less females in this field, and it's just kind of, I guess, an example I like to give is I often play soccer with all guys. And at this point, a lot of them know me, so they'll play with me like I'm a guy. But when I first get on the field with a group of all guys, they won't pass me the ball at all because they don't trust me. They're like, oh, this is a girl trying to play soccer, not like a good soccer player. Yes. So unfortunately, it's the same way in industry. The guys in my field, not all of them, but a lot of them look at me as a girl who can do engineering, but not as an engineer. And I've heard that feedback from other women as well. And so what you're going to have to do is kind of assert yourself and prove yourself. And I mean, it's unfair, but it is how it happens. So, I mean, when I first started this job, it was a lot of that. And it wasn't until I started performing where they kind of turned around and looked at me like, oh, okay, she can actually do things. We can trust her with work. So definitely take initiative on showing your strengths because guys aren't going to assume that you have those strengths. So, I mean, just recently we were talking about a new way to kind of show our hardware. And I was saying, oh, we can, package it in a new way. We can add these lights and things there, and immediately the men in the room's reaction was, okay, what consulting firm should we hire to do this? I was like, no. I can do that. Like, yeah. I can design this for you. I went to school to do that. And they kind of had this realization, oh, okay, well, yeah, you do it then. I think it's just going to take being more vocal and being more confident and making sure you make yourself known.
Yeah.
Because they're going to assume when a guy comes in that he can do stuff, and they might not have the same assumption about you. So you should definitely...
I love that. Yeah, that's really good advice. Yeah, okay.
I just think that it's great that, you know, you're encouraging people to essentially go follow their dreams.
Yeah.
I think that part of it is it's so important to do that because you never know if you'll be successful. Sometimes, you know, you may not be successful, but, like, you'll never know. It's like the quote that says, you'll miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's so important to follow your dreams, or at least follow what you think your dreams are.
Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for being on the show. This is wonderful.
Welcome.
To you all listening, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. You can also check us out on our website, www.thesteministas.com. That's www.thesteministas.com.